Everybody has told you to log off, stop posting, take a vacation. I'm not going to tell you to do anything like that, in my unsolicited advice that is this video, because you're not going to do it. As a former subscriber to your channel myself, it would make me smile to hear that you've been gone from the internet, that you have been gone from all of your socials for about a month, because I can at least imagine or hope that you were actually doing the hard thing, that you manned up, that you did exactly what you needed to do, what God called you to do, and you faced yourself for the first time in probably a long time. What's up, guys? Welcome back. And if it's your first time here, I'm Paige. Hello, how you doing? Now, this video isn't going to be like all the rest. I'm not here to point and laugh at old Jeremy. I could, but I won't. I think that half of this platform has done that enough already, and old Jer has done a bang-up job of humiliating himself relentlessly. So the need for me to dogpile just isn't necessary. The drama/commentary community isn't somewhere I frequent much anymore since I'm a saved woman. But it didn't matter, because the videos on Jeremy started filling up my timeline and my home feed just like God raining down a plague of frogs.
Oh, would you look at that?
No. Wait.
I just couldn't escape it. See, about 10 years ago, I was a consumer of what you would call degen content like internet blood sports. And I was a bit of a degenerate myself back then before I gave my life to Christ. There's a shortish blood sports documentary linked in the description below and other links for videos on Jeremy, but be warned, because Jeremy has overshared and self-reported about some pretty gross stuff. There are actually two reasons why I'm talking about this on my channel. Number one, I cannot stand to see anybody on planet Earth LARPing as a Christian conservative, and you can just throw out conservative because that goes without saying, and slapping that title on their chest, like they're employee of the month. Yet they end up displaying, behavior publicly that's indicative of them being the opposite of that. And number two, I used to be somebody who watched TheQuartering. I used to watch Jeremy's main channel. And about 2 years ago, it got to the point where his content was just a waste of time, since he was only reading articles with very little personality or charisma. That's the truth. And look, I'm not the best at reading it loud either, but if I do it for a living, I have to sit here and read articles, but it's like, look, you have them on the screen. You should be able to do it. It shouldn't be that hard if you've got them on the screen and you're reading them for your audience. I think I'm going to put in a little effort, and I'm going to make sure I edit out my mistakes. Whenever I was still watching him, I also noticed that he was still drinking, because as somebody who's been around alcoholics for at least half of my life, there's a laundry list of indicators of somebody using alcohol. Then I began looking into his coffee company, and I assumed even back then that he was lying about manufacturing it himself. There is zero chance that Jeremy will take the time to watch this, because he couldn't care less about what some strange woman has to say. I'm just some redneck hick from backwoods Tennessee who is happily married to the love of my life, who has a grown daughter. I went through an 8-year opioid addiction.
Well, because the whole thing was like about having children, and neither of them had kids. So it's like you guys are on this trad con family LARP where having kids is the only thing that matters, and both of you are fucking childless in your 40s. Yep, exactly. It doesn't really make any fucking sense.
Someone like me could never offer someone of such royal YouTube esteem and status any words of wisdom or direction.
Are you sure about that?
Everybody wants to know why he is sabotaging, lying, getting involved in what we call ops, and self-destructing. But here's the kicker about all this. He doesn't see this as self-destruction, guys. That's what a lot of people are not understanding, and why he said that he has nothing to apologize for. Jeremy genuinely believes that he has done nothing wrong. This is exactly what addiction does to your brain. And the longer that it goes on, the worse it gets. You feel deeply righteous in your decision-making, as if you're always justified. You don't believe you've done anything wrong. You never take accountability, because why would you? And you'll do whatever your flesh desires and whatever the demon inside you tells you to do. He sees himself as the victim in all of this. And the truth is your enemy whenever you're addicted, because the evil one, he's got you where he wants you, since he's a liar who can never face the truth himself. When all of this came out about the flagging, his personal life, his finances and coffee company, the addiction itself, and all the despicable things that he said, he had like a code red nuclear meltdown, because he couldn't allow the world to actually know the truth, since he's too scared to face it himself. That is the reason people do the things that they do whenever they're addicted. They act out of fear, impulsivity, and they're trying to do whatever it takes to preserve the addiction itself and or try to sweep up and try to cover it up, right? And the ironic part about all of this is that it was his own words and actions that exposed the truth, even with it laid bare. He still cannot accept it. He cannot accept accountability, responsibility. He's not going to accept culpability, which is why it makes sense that he was the one who actually kicked off the flagging war that's going on YouTube right now. But every bit of it is being caused by his addiction. That's my opinion. I am not a therapist. I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, medical professional. That is just my opinion from experience because I've been through it myself. I come from a family of addicts. Okay. So I understand their patterns very well. Whenever I was in the tail end of my own addiction, it was the words of a total stranger that changed my perspective and made me realize that I couldn't keep going like I was. Not the words of my loved ones, the people who cared about me most and who I had emotionally tortured with my destructive, sinful behavior. They stood by me all the way through it, which I was fortunate enough to have a resilient family and friends who never gave up on me and who tolerated my BS when they shouldn't have, Jeremy. They should have walked away. I wouldn't have blamed them on the other side of it if they had. Why is it that what a stranger told me was more impactful? It's because all you hear from your loved ones whenever you're addicted is, you need help. You need to get sober. You need rehab. You need to stop doing XYZ. You need. They mean well, but it doesn't help. I had a stranger look at me one day and say, why are you doing this to yourself, to your family? Why? And I told this person that it wasn't that simple. And they said, yes, it is. It's a decision. If you're aware of the problem that you have, yet you're still choosing to do it. It won't be without suffering, but years from now, you're going to thank yourself for it because all you're doing is you're digging your grave faster every time you put that crap in your body. This person then told me that they were an addict for almost 20 years and they lost everything. Their marriage, their family, their house, their vehicles, their job, everything. They had to start over completely from scratch. And that's the reality that some addicts face. Sometimes you have to actually hit rock bottom before you wake up. Jeremy reminds me so much of somebody that I once knew. They would admit to heavily drinking, but they would never, and they would say, I drink all the time and I'm a heavy drinker, but they would never, ever say that they had a problem and they would never use the A word. Never. And it was just splitting hairs. That's all that you're doing. But that's why Jerry's doing this. All of his decisions and crazy things that he has said and done revolve around his addiction. Even his hubris and acting holier than thou and acting like he's God's gift to the internet. Even that is coming from the addiction itself, right? You see what I'm saying, guys? I feel like that makes more sense. It makes more sense that, it's not just that he's a bad person. No, it's that your addiction turns you into that bad person. But then after a while, you realize that, yeah, I'm an addict, but I'm still choosing to do this. And in turn, I'm still choosing to be a crappy person. I was a liar, a thief. I was self-righteous, indignant, disobedient. I disrespected my parents repeatedly and brought deep shame to my family. Now, to hear my mama, talk about it, she claims that part isn't true, but I know that it was because I didn't take God's word to heart. I just did what I wanted to do. I didn't listen to God. I just did my own thing. I failed as a mother and as a daughter. I failed God Almighty because I know He was so deeply heartbroken and disappointed in me. And I may have provided for my daughter and always told her that I loved her and showed her affection and attention, but I was mentally and spiritually checked out. Doing that for 8 years of her life, that's a failure. I was a failure as a parent, as a mother. So I thank God, Jeremy, that you don't have kids. I'm glad you don't have children because they would be exposed to what you're doing. That's never okay. It's never all right. The iniquity that I participated in was vast. It was the world who was wrong, not me. It was everybody else who just wouldn't leave me alone and just let me live my life the way I wanted. It's none of their business. They're not living my life. They ain't got no say in it. They need to just shut up and leave me alone. But you can't do that, Jeremy, whenever you have an online presence like yourself. You have to care to an extent. Now, I don't care what people think about me, but whenever you start screwing up and you start getting caught in lies and you start being exposed for certain things, being a false Christian because you're not, whenever those things begin to happen, that's whenever you need to really take a good look in the mirror and realize what you're doing, because that's whenever you really need to start caring. But you need to care about what your audience thinks and what your audience wants, because of the fact that they're the one who funds you. They're the one who buy your crappy coffee. They're the ones who sit there and watch your lame videos. I'm sorry. I said I was going to be mean, and I'm just saying.
I think the market has shifted, and it's no longer okay just to have to, just to read an article and give my, whoa, that's crazy. I need to be better. And to avoid having my wife sell her feet pictures, I have hired a researcher full-time.
But it was everybody else's problem. I wasn't the problem. They were the problem, right? I made up stories out of thin air. Lying became just as easy as breathing. I know exactly the kind of mindset that someone like Jeremy, someone like you has, because addiction turns you into a monster. You're nothing but a tool for Satan to use. That's all you become. By the way, you cannot walk around and say and do the things that Jeremy Hambly has done, then claim that you hold the title of being a Christian. I mean, you can. Nobody's going to believe you. Nobody's going to believe you. You're just lying to yourself, into the world. And let me tell you something. Guess what? You can't lie to God. That's impossible. You can't lie to him because he knows our hearts. He knows every bit of what we've done. Nothing Jeremy has said or done has been Christ-like. And I'm not talking about his personal life. I'm talking about his online presence. That matters because he practically lives online.
Oh, wait, the White House. Did the White House actually post this?
There's a lot of deepfakes around, so who knows?
But they have the White House at the end.
Yeah, but
anyone could cut that, right?
Yeah.
Shut up, bitch.
But this is the thing, and you saw this with everything Gavin Newsom's doing right now. There's so much push to get better at social media. I mean, I sent Jeremy a post.
She just kept on going with the, I called you a bitch, and you just ignored it completely.
What?
When we must stand before God on Judgment Day, every single thing we've done, good and bad and ugly, will be laid bare right in front of us. All of it. And the sad part about what I'm saying is the way that Jeremy acts. Anytime something serious is brought up, he pretends like it's a joke. My point is that God will not be mocked. Yet here you are. You're wearing a Christian suit as if it's, like you're wearing somebody's skin. You can't do that. Making a mockery out of him by claiming to be one of his children who is at least attempting to walk the narrow path instead of the wide. I don't really think you know what you're doing. I don't think you realize what you're doing, the severity of it, the implications of it, or the consequences of it. I don't think you know, truly. You cannot admit to your wrongdoings. At least online you can't. Being a Christian doesn't mean we walk around and we pretend to be perfect, to be perfection like Christ, right? We are nothing but filthy rags in comparison to Christ. And I have done so many things in my life that I was ashamed of, that I repented for, and I still let God down today, every single day, because we all fall short of his glory, every single one of us. But it's the attempt, Jeremy. It's the attempt that matters. And another thing, if I would have had access to the kind of cash flow that Jer has access to while I was addicted, I would have done what he's allegedly doing. I'm speaking for myself here mainly. I wouldn't have been smart with my money at all. It would have went up in smoke. I would have dove headfirst into debt. I would have bought all kinds of frivolous crap that I didn't need. And I probably would have been dead within 10 years because I never would have had the foresight or the wisdom to get sober. I needed to be struggling and poor whenever I crawled out of that hole that I was in. And maybe that's what it's going to take for you to get sober, Jeremy. Because sometimes people are never humbled until God steps in and he humbles them. He takes away everything that matters to them so they can finally see what is supposed to matter. Let me ask you a question. I know you won't see this. I'm still going to ask it anyway, and this video is probably pointless. I probably won't get through to you at all, and that's okay. I'm still going to post it, though. Do you think God cares about how many views or subs that you have, Jeremy? I'm not asking that to be snarky. I genuinely want to know. Do you think he cares about how many views or subs that you get because you talk about it so much? I cannot presume to know what God knows or feel what God feels, but that's just my opinion. I don't think he cares. If you were truly a Christian, Jeremy, you should strive to be making God proud, to be obedient to him, making him look down at you and smile and say, that's my boy. That's my boy. That's what I want to strive to do myself. Everything that we do in our lives, we need to keep him in mind. And if you're not glorifying God, what are you doing? If you're a Christian and you're not glorifying God, if it does not glorify God, then why are you doing it? Let's talk about subscribers for a minute. If I had 1 million subscribers, I don't think I would be sitting here bragging to my audience one week about the fact that I'm living in a way that they will probably never get to experience. And then the next week I turn around and I start begging them for money because I'm claiming business is slow, or I make up some BS excuse on why they need to buy my drop shipped coffee that I overspent on, that I put on my credit card or whatever. I don't see the logic in that. I don't see the reason in that. It seems hypocritical to me. Jeremy, Bubba, the chickens are coming home to roost, my boy. You lied about little things and also gigantic things. But when you're an addict, you honestly do not believe that you're going to face any consequences. I didn't believe I was going to face any consequences for the things that I did, but I wasn't a huge online persona. I wasn't somebody who had people that relied on me, who relied on my word. You cannot fix any of this until you fix your mindset first. And the only way to do that is to get sober and truly repent, or truly repent and then get sober. And then you take your licks and you deal with the consequences like real men do when they make all the wrong choices. On a side note, I genuinely believe that there are thousands of creators on this platform who are bought and paid for by our wonderful intel agency. And it's awful funny that Jeremy has done nothing but defend the current administration. And I think that has something to do with some of the things that have happened. Anyway, that part is kind of irrelevant, but not really. You know what I mean? But it's irrelevant to the main point that I'm trying to make in this video, that I'm trying to get across. I'm almost done. Greed and materialism is the worshiping of this world. Do you know why none of that matters? Why none of it matters? Because you're not taking any of it with you when they put you in that casket. All of it falls away. Every last bit of it is gone. So my point is, once your time runs out on YouTube, because it inevitably will for every single creator who ages out or becomes irrelevant or who never makes it, and your channel eventually becomes a graveyard. So when that happens, what are you going to cling to? You've made it clear that this is the most important thing in your life. At least that's the impression that your audience and everybody else has gotten from all of this. But once it's over, Jeremy, you will be forgotten. We all will be, who are here on this platform right now. But let's talk about real life for just a second. You have no children, no sons to carry on your name, your legacy. YouTube is your legacy, but you'll sooner become forgotten on YouTube than you would if you had an actual family. And that's sad to think about, because if you never have children, then your name and memory will pass away much sooner than those of us who do have families. You'll just be another name on a headstone that somebody walks past. And that applies to every one of us, but some of us much sooner than others. Everybody has told you to log off, stop posting, take a vacation, chill out, bro, etc., etc. I'm not going to tell you to do anything like that, in my unsolicited advice that is this video, because you're not going to do it. And why not? Because you're still an addict at the end of the day. That's it. You're not going to do any of that. You're not going to do anything, and I mean literally anything, that anybody has suggested or told you to do, because that's your mindset whenever you're an addict. Somebody suggests something, and you do the opposite. I'm pushing 40, but I have 10 years of sobriety under my belt, and I still have so much to learn and grow from. And although I'm proud of myself for it, I couldn't have done any of it without God stepping in and taking the reins from me. God can take all of that, the pain, the misery, the chase that you have to go through every single day, all of it. And he can show you the path. He can show you the way. You just got to ask. You got to say the words. So my suggestion, my challenge for you, Jeremy Hambly, is to put your money where your mouth is. Become an honest to goodness Christian. Be what you have bragged to the world about being, yet you aren't. At least on screen, you're not. However, if you are not willing to suffer, if you are not willing to go through the pain that is necessary to be free of the shackles of addiction and cast out the literal demon, or possibly demons that are attached to you, then you will remain this way, and you will quickly fade into irrelevancy. I promise you that. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to end this video. I cannot count how many elders that I have sat beside to this day who had no one except for me. And although we're all going to make the journey alone, it's like a solo journey that we have to do on our own. I don't believe that anyone actually wants to be one of those people who only has a caregiver who's paid to be there to watch you slip away. Leaving this world with nobody by your side and without Christ in your heart is what I imagine the worst way to go would be. I don't wish that on anybody, because the reason why I say alone, Jeremy, is because 30 years from now, you don't know what will happen. Your wife could be gone by then, is my point. You not have any children or any family left, especially since you're pushing everybody away from you. At least that is the observation that I have made throughout all of this, is that you have pushed all of your friends away, dude. All of the people that you have worked with, or the people that you were genuinely friends with, don't want anything to do with you because you're a ticking time bomb and you have exploded 5 or 6 times already. They don't want anything to do with you. Once you get clear of this, once you actually understand what you're doing, I think it's going to knock you back on your heels. I'm not going to give you a pass. I'm still going to pray for you because you have a lot of work to do on yourself. And, that's between you and God. But honestly, as a former subscriber to your channel myself, it would make me smile to hear that you've been gone from the internet, that you have been gone from all of your socials for about a month, because I could at least imagine or hope that you were actually doing the hard thing, that you manned up, that you did exactly what you needed to do, what God called you to do, and you faced yourself for the first time in probably a long time. I genuinely believe that we all need to pray for Jeremy Hambly, regardless of how intolerable or insufferable he's acting. I still feel the need to pray for people like that, because I understand addiction, and I understand that it can completely just rot your brain to the point where nobody likes you anymore and you've made a complete ass of yourself. So anyway, my next video that's coming out will be about the psychic influencer who claims that she talked to Charlie Kirk beyond the grave. So that will be a wild ride. And she's also somebody who claims to be an alien hybrid. So we'll see how that one goes. I can't wait to do it. I think it's going to make all of you laugh. So anyway, look for that one in the next week. Like it if you liked it. Too bad if you didn't. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.